Dear Charlie, thank you for your note after Johnny's death. Accidental death can cover a multitude of sins, but I know it was suicide. And this gets me to the material I'm enclosing with this letter. I think Johnny's suicide was prompted by a particular patient. I'm enclosing what I found in Johnny's personal effects. The handwriting, burn this, is Johnny's, and, well, I didn't listen. Like Pandora, my curiosity got the better of me, and I opened it. I wish I hadn't.
Case notes, June 1, 2007, patient N, 48, partner in a large Portland accounting firm, divorced, father of 2 daughters.
Insomnia, OCD, you've heard it all 100 times before, but it's the underlying cause of those problems I came here to deal with. The reason I can't sleep, the reason for the compulsions. The reason is what happened in August of last year. What's wrong with me could be very dangerous to me, possibly to others. I'm at condition orange here, Dr. Bonsaint, edging into condition red.
Do you count things?
Of course I do. The number of clues in the New York Times crossword puzzle, my own footsteps, number of rings when I call someone, other people's footsteps, their shoes, black shoes on the way to lunch, brown on the way back. 30's a good number. 15 pair, most days not a problem. 30 is purty, my little rhyme. 15 is keen.
Is the manuscript for the book, which I'm sending along with this letter, seems alive and not in a good way. I know the places that are mentioned. You will too. For example, the field N speaks of must have been close to where we went to school as children. This field, Ackerman's Field, it's also close. A little too close for comfort, perhaps, to the bridge where Johnny committed suicide.
Reality is a mystery, Dr. Bonsaint, and the everyday texture of things is the cloth we draw over it to mask its brightness and darkness. But there are places where the cloth gets ragged and reality is thin. Ackerman's Field is one of those places. Because when you walk up to the stones, as I did, and you look at them, you can see the faces. Not human faces either, the faces of beasts and monsters. Or it could just be a trick of the light. I snapped some pictures, 5, a bad number, but I didn't know that yet. I stood back wanting to get all 7 stones in one picture, but when I framed the shot, I saw that there were really 8. 7 by the naked eye, 8 through the lens. I went from stone to stone, touching each one, counting each one. I had to. I knew that the way I know I have to keep breathing if I want to stay alive. This might all still be in my head, but if it's not, if what I saw and sensed in Ackerman's Field is real, then I'm carrying a kind of infection, which I could pass on to you. I touched the stones. I'd touched them, and they were fixed. 7 when I looked, 8 through the camera. It didn't matter. After touching them, they were fixed. I felt relieved. But I still felt afraid there was something wrong. Everything screamed it, even the silence of the birds. So I ran. I was most of the way back to my car. I might even have been touching the door handle when something turned me around again. And that was when I saw there was something in the middle of the stones. It was turning very slowly, but it never took its eyes off me. And it saw me. It saw me looking. And it grinned. And where there was one, there would be more. 8 stones would keep them captive, but if there were only 7, they'd come flooding from the darkness on the other side and overwhelm the world. The letter was marked personal, no return address. There was something inside. I could feel it through the envelope.
AF. And what did you think the AF stood for?
Come on, Doc. What do you think? Ackerman's Field, right?
Or a person's initials, or...
I knew what it was and what it meant. If there'd been a letter, it would have said, I tried to keep you out. It's not my fault and maybe not yours, but either way, this key and all it opens is yours now.
That's very specific.
That's what it would have said.
You sound pretty certain of that.
I am. The responsibility. You can't imagine the responsibility for the entire world, Doc. The weight of it, literally on my shoulders.
It just feels that way. The work we have to do now is...
At least I'll get a break come winter, if I make it that far.
What do you mean?
And you know what I think? I think we finished, you and I.
Actually, I think we still have a great deal of work left to do.
No, we're done. This concludes today's program, as they used to say on the radio.
This is very common. After a breakthrough, it's normal for patients to want to...
Thanks, Doc. Look, don't worry. You may see me again. Or at least hear from me.
I can help you. It just takes some time.
Thank you, Doc, for everything. For listening. By the way, those, I wouldn't move them if I were you.
Now, I know what you're thinking, Charlie. I just wonder if the two deaths aren't connected somehow. Because, well, read the manuscript Johnny had started. I think you'll see what I'm talking about here.
Backtrailing a patient's mental illness to its source is never comfortable. But once I was there, at the literal ground zero of N's delusion, I was struck by the quiet power of the place. As fundamentally disturbing as that was, what I spotted next was even worse. It was 10 yards away and hidden by the bushes, but I knew instantly what it was, and that I'd made the wrong choice in coming here. There was something in the envelope. Of course there was. Why else go to the trouble of putting it in a baggie to keep it dry? Why go to the trouble of leaving the envelope at all? And I knew it for what it was, even before I tore open the envelope and dumped it into my hand. Sorry, Doc. 2 words, 3 counting N's name. Not a good number. I'd felt someone behind me.
Kathan.
And I decided that it was time to leave. That's enough. If something has mutated the trees, some environmental condition that's poisoned the ground, so be it. It doesn't matter. What matters is that there are 8 stones. There are 8. You have tested the world and found it as you hoped it would be. As it always was. Go back. Go back to your life. Go back while you still can.
Go back while you still can.
I felt an urge, a strong urge, one I'm ashamed to admit. Almost as much as I'm ashamed to admit I gave into it. I looked, and there were only 7 stones. I'd put the key in the envelope in my pocket, but I was still holding the baggie. Without really thinking about what I was doing, I raised it to my eyes, and 8 stones. Thank God. I have decided against the article. Best to put the whole business of N behind me. I've thrown the key away. No, the article remains abandoned. However, I see no reason to discontinue writing down my thoughts and observations as a kind of journal. Fished the key out of the trash this morning. It's just a key. All right, yeah, I admit it. I have been counting a few things and making sure there are even numbers around me. Paper clips, pencils in the jar. Doing this is strangely soothing. I have caught N's cold for sure. Something is wrong out there. The 8th stone is weakening. Counting helps, but does not fix the basic problem. This must end. I went back. And I saw it. The darkness. It was almost complete. I don't accept this, I don't. But I saw with my own eyes. I saw the 3-lobed eye and spoke of it belonged to nothing from this world. There is a world behind this world, filled with monsters. It was Charlie who thought it up, calling the Bale Road Bridge the Fail Road Bridge, because anyone who fell off it couldn't fail to kill themselves. Charlie was always so clever. This is the design all the Earth proclaims. 8 is fate and keeps the world straight. Good deal for the world. Not such a good deal for Dr. Bunsaint. Charlie was always so clever.
Dear Charlie, I haven't heard from you about Johnny's manuscript, and that's good. Please ignore my last letter, and if you still have the pages, burn them. I'm glad I didn't send you the key. You might have been tempted to go out there. Don't worry about me, though. I'm fine. And even if I'm not, Sheila LeClaire has 1 husband and 1 child. Charlie Keene has 1 wife and 3 children. You have more to lose. Under no circumstance, come back here. There's nothing out there, just some rocks. I saw with my own eyes. I swear there's nothing out there. So stay away.